ladies and gentlemen, second half of the presentations are talking more in detail about properties, where to buy, how you evaluate where to buy, cost of living comparison between the UK and Portugal, very interesting. And then we're going to do a very brief question and answer session between myself and three of my chamber colleagues about what's for sale in different areas of Portugal. First of all, I'm going to ask our colleague and chamber member, Alex Mansour from Nomad Capital, to talk us through how you can evaluate property investments in Portugal, what you should be looking for, how the prices per square metre vary between areas in Portugal. Basically, some very good tips for making sure that you make a sensible property purchase in Portugal. Alex.
Hello everyone. Feels amazing to be back on stage, you know. It's been 2 years and I'm very happy to be here. So I'm going to make a bit of a presentation. You know, I've been in Portugal for now about 5.5 years. I'm French originally, but lived in the US for many years. So basically I went through this process that you guys are going through. So if you have any questions afterwards, please don't hesitate to ask. In my opinion, the more we are in Portugal, the better. So if not with us, I will always be there to answer questions. So quickly about my company. So I'm a real estate developer. I've been investing in Portugal for the last 5 years, actually. We have a track record of about 350 million euros across 12 projects. At the moment, we focus a lot of our attention on the Algarve, but we've done a lot of investments in Lisbon and in Porto as well. So we have a very good expertise, of course, of that space. Our main market nowadays is into branded residences and service living concepts. So basically residential apartments with hotel services and a rental management solution, which is non-mandatory, but you know, nowadays a lot of people are looking to buy primary residences. So they're spending either summer season or the winter season in Portugal and then the rest of the time back home. So a lot of our clients, they like the ability to rent their property when they're not around, and they like the fact that they have hotel amenities, maintenance and repairs when they are living into their property. So that's our main market, but over the years I've done villa investments, pure residential, we've done some retail investments, restaurants, office space. So I think we have a pretty good understanding of the market. So any questions that you have afterwards, whether it's related to our projects or to moving to Portugal or to my experience or whatever, please don't hesitate to ask. So now I'm going to show you a bit the process that I go through when I switch a property investment. And I'm just going to go through that. But in terms of number, one thing that was pretty surprising about Portugal is how resilient the market was. You know, when March 2020 hit, we were supposed to do this presentation actually 2 days before the first lockdown took place. And like a lot of people, I thought my business was done. And it turned out it wasn't. People started to look at Portugal for the future. They understood that they wanted to be outdoors, that they could work remotely, and Portugal for Europe was an amazing option. And looking at these numbers, it's pretty impressive that the gross domestic product re-increased in 2021. The unemployment rate stayed more or less stabilized, or at least recovered. Portugal is the 4th safest country in the world. It has the best quality of life for expats. It's still in 2021 the European best destination, and in 2019 tourism grew twice the European average. We're not going to use last year's numbers because, as you can expect, So I'm going to focus my attention today mostly on hospitality investment and residential investments. And if you want to have some knowledge of the other industries, let me know, because we only have like 10-15 minutes today. But in terms of hospitality investment in Portugal, so that means service, residential, touristic investments, hotels, the occupancy rates are very high. So 2020 saw a huge decline, but since July, most of the hospitality sector is going at an 80 to 100% occupancy rate, and that's true right now as well. So for 2021, we actually expect 68% occupancy rate, which is huge. There were 17 million overnight stays in 2019. This decreased by about 70% last year. But I think this year, if all goes well, we can expect 35 to 40 million, which is pretty impressive. The Algarve is the top region at the moment. I think it's mainly driven by British investors, but also North European countries like Holland, Sweden, Germany, and France, and of course the American market, which now drives 50% of the demand for the Algarve. So Lisbon comes next as the second most popular destination, but right now in touristic investments and hotels and branded residents, I think the Algarve is really the leader, not just for Portugal, but actually for the rest of Europe. Because a lot of these hotel chains and hospitality brands, they are looking at Portugal and the Algarve specifically as a test market for their European expansions. So I'm talking Marriott, I'm talking Viceroy, W, of course Nomad Residences, where we are testing our markets in Portugal for hopefully investing in the rest of Europe in the next few years. So the idea, if you're looking to invest in this sector, is to look at future landmarks, create destinations, and high-end products, because nowadays people are looking at the experiences, they're looking at the final product, they want something which is more high-end, and that's quite missing still in the Algarve. So 4 to 5 stars usually has a huge demand. In pure residential, I mean, the prices have really skyrocketed. Because the demand increased, of course, there was a lack of supply, a lot of construction stops. The city halls in the Algarve were closed for more than 12 months. So it took a long time, a lot of delays in construction and permittings, and the demand kept increasing. So just in the second quarter of 2021, we saw an increase of 6% of the real estate prices, which is pretty high. And it's expected to keep doing so for the next at least 12 to 18 months until the supply and demand can go back to normal pre-COVID levels. The growth and innovation mostly takes place in the Algarve, but Lisbon and Porto can be quite interesting as well. Lisbon, the demand is still increasingly high, especially from the French market nowadays. And Porto can be also interesting because you're paying about 1/3 less compared to the price in Lisbon. So if you're looking to rent your property, usually the yields are going to be higher in Porto than they are in Lisbon. If you want to use leverage and mortgages, just know that Portugal has the second lowest interest rates in Europe at the moment. For our projects, we are borrowing at about 1.5%, and I've seen some mortgage take place in the last few weeks at 1.1%. So borrowing money has never been so cheap, and it's a good time to actually invest and use banks for leverage at the moment, for sure. For residential, again, I think branded residents are the next trend. We have found out that there's about 12 major hotel chains that are looking to implement Portugal at the moment. And not just hotel chains, we are seeing also luxury brands being interested. So Bulgari, Wally, the yacht manufacturer, they're actually contacting us to use our expertise into service residential to brand future projects. So this is something that we've been seeing in the last 6 months. So I'm sure the next 2 to 3 years are going to be very exciting in that space for Portugal. And of course, there's going to be some golden visa rules that are going to change at the end of the year, as you know. So I think this is going to increase the demand for the next few months. And there's a few touristic operators. We're one of them. We will keep the golden visa offering even after 2021. So investing into those developers can also be pretty interesting. So as I said, this is a bit to summarize before we go more specifically into the Lisbon, Porto and Algarve region, but to summarize the pluses of investing in Portugal, which were one of the reasons we moved there in the first place. The low interest rates and transaction costs were a big plus. It's a very competitive touristic destination. This mix of urban lifestyle and beautiful beaches, which is very proper to, for instance, California and unique in Europe, makes Portugal a huge value proposal. and was my main reason for moving there. I think the NHR program and the Golden Visa, which Edge covered in details earlier, are a nice perk. I see these not as a cake, but as a cherry on the cake, and for sure also had an impact on why I moved there. And the fact that there are no restrictions on foreign property ownership. So for UK investors, that might not be a big item, but for other countries in South America or in the Middle East or even in Asia, those are very compelling reasons to allocate resources and investments in Portugal. Not everything is amazing, of course. I think the economy recovery is a lot relying on tourism for Portugal. So yes, Portugal is resilient, but it can also have a lot of ups and downs, and I think last year proved that. If you're buying property where there's already a tenant or somebody renting the property, you just need to know that getting these people out is incredibly difficult. So always keep in mind this aspect. And the taxes on capital gains are pretty high, it's 28%. But I would say these are the plus and minuses of investing in Portugal. So more specifically, these are, in my opinion, the hot spots for Lisbon. Estrela, Lapa, Liberdade, and I can show you on a map, are right now the most demanded areas for foreign investors. But investing in Lisbon has a ton of advantages. First of all, it's a year-round destination, so it's easy for weekend breaks, and there's a lot of new trendy cosmopolitan offerings which are taking place at the moment. And of course the Web Summit, which is bringing all of these tech entrepreneurs every year and increasing the amount of people which are deciding to move to Portugal. And the airport also is extremely convenient in Lisbon. You have worldwide connectivity, so it's a very cosmopolitan destination, mostly thanks to that. In the minus side, if you're looking to put your apartment on short-term rent in Lisbon, just know that there are a lot of restrictions that came up in the last few months and which will keep going. And putting your apartment, if the objective is on Airbnb or Booking.com or use a short-term rental company, just know that getting the license nowadays is really difficult. So if you're looking to invest in Lisbon for that, make sure it already has an active license in place. Also, I think that a lot of the areas of Lisbon have reached a price bubble. When I look at some of the prices in these areas, I think they are really overvalued. And it has made it very difficult for us to invest in Lisbon in the last couple of years. And bureaucracy, of course. Like all Southern European countries, getting things done, whether it's licenses or permissions or even just getting paperwork done by the city hall or by banks or whatever, it's just a headache. But that's true all across Southern Europe, I think. Porto. So Porto has been very interesting for us. We started investing there in 2017, and we've done very well, especially in the historical center, like the Mercado de Pulhão and Aliados. It's been completely revamped in the last 3 years. The Douro Valley, which is, in my opinion, if you're into wine, one of the most beautiful wine destinations there is outside in Europe. There's an amazing quality of life. The price of living there is much cheaper compared to the rest of the country. And for gastronomic, as a gastronomic destination, it's amazing. One of our chamber members has put together the World of Wine, which is the second largest wine destination worldwide. It's absolutely outstanding. It opened in the middle of COVID, and it just made Porto a long-term destination which people will want to come back into. And I suggest anyone to go and visit, because after Bordeaux, it is now recognized as the best wine learning experience you can find, and it's really wonderful. And again, prices a third less than Lisbon, so the rental yields are higher there. Then on the minus side, Porto is small. It's not like there's so many things to do yet, although it's developing, and it's still quite underdeveloped in terms of infrastructure. So a lot of space for improvement on the touristic circuits around Porto, which have yet to take place, and obviously COVID didn't help that too much. And in terms of investment opportunities, because it's smaller, you have less opportunities to invest into. So, you know, you have to look a bit more carefully than the rest of the country. And then the Algarve. We spend most of our attention and investment in the Algarve. We've done about 2 projects. We expect to do more investments in the next few years. They're the best beaches in Europe, and just the Algarve alone represents 30% of the national tourism income. It's highly popular among retired expats, and there's this new crowd of younger entrepreneurs, I'm one of them, which are moving from Lisbon to the Algarve or from the rest of Europe to the Algarve, and are seeing the Algarve as the next California. And I think the Algarve has a ton of things to offer. Besides the excellent quality of life, the infrastructure is just amazing. You have this highway connectivity which goes from west to east, which makes that you're always less than an hour, 20 minutes from any point throughout the Algarve. So that's really nice. There's never any traffic. It is the leader in terms of real estate product innovations and offering. And the COVID has skyrocketed the demand, and the prices are still increasing, and will keep doing so for the next at least 2 years. On the minus side, obviously, it's a bit more seasonal than the rest of the country. The flight connectivity to Faro, especially in winter, is not so easy, although from the UK it's really excellent. But from France or the US or Canada, it's a bit more tricky. The public transportation may need some upgrades, although everyone's driving its own car over there. And it spreads across a much larger area. I think the Algarve is like 110 kilometers wide, so you have to keep that into perspective. And just to finish, there are some opportunities which I think make a lot of sense for Portugal. So if you're just besides hospitality and residential, I think aging in place opportunities, if you're looking to develop in Portugal, make a lot of sense. There's tons of things to do on the renewable energy sector. The government is helping a lot those entrepreneurs in setting up businesses and renting, financing, all the branded resident concepts and service living, on which we focus most of our attention, and anything that has to do with year-round services. So whether it's a restaurant, whether it's activities, or these are investments which are needed. There's not a lot of things to do, and usually whatever comes up in the market always works pretty well. I think Madeira and Azores also are going to see a nice boom in the coming years, because they are not falling under these golden visa restrictions, and also these are very beautiful places to visit. And the Alentero, which can also make a lot of sense if you're looking at healthy lifestyle, hotel concepts like yoga, retreats, healthy living, and all of that. This can make a lot of sense. So that's it for today. Any questions that you have, our booth is behind, and I hope you found this productive. Thank you.